The word nobody, no self, emptiness, selflessness are all one and the same. It's another way of denying the self, the personal self. And it's not to dismiss it or to say that disparagingly. It's to say that that's just simply not who you are. If somebody were to say to you that you are a dog or some kind of animal, you would automatically recognize the falseness in that. So there's no need to take offense, there's no need to be upset, and there's no need to even judge dogs or animals in reference to you, because it's just not fact. The idea of a personal self is a myth, and every day we go on perpetuating that myth by reinforcing it in our lives and our reality. That's that self-image that we've identified with since childhood. That's just an image, an idea, the opinions of others, part of your upbringing, that you formulated this broken up, fragmented, incomplete self-portrait. So realize that the sense of personhood is a fiction. The same way when you go to a job, you have a particular vocation. You're not a garbage man. You're not a doctor. You're not a lawyer. You're not a politician. It's a role that you play. You don't bring that with you home among family and friends. You leave that where it's needed. You're filling a certain role. In other words, it's a means to an end. Your egoic personal self is a role that you play. That is your human avatar, that you are here to taste experiences. Infinite consciousness experiencing a finite reality. A certain height, a certain weight, a unique fingerprint. You sleep, you grow hungry, you have 2 arms, you have 2 legs. For the time being, you are bound to the experience of limitation in a world of contrast, where you experience up and down, right or wrong, good or bad, left or right, liberal, conservative. All of these things in this neuroactive simulation game. Your egoic sense of identity is there to achieve a certain function or a goal, and that's to keep you safe and to help you survive in society. All that investment in your psychological mind, your historical self, really is, for the most part, futile. It doesn't really have any bearing on who you are, and it does not in any kind of way reflect your full potential. So you have to embrace that if you choose. You can choose limitation. You can choose fear. You can choose to remain in the sunken place of the hypnosis of social conditioning, division, and separateness. But then you'll have a particular outcome, and we all know what that is. That's insecurity, fear, powerlessness, victimhood. You always have a choice. I've always mentioned there are always 2 doors, the door to love or the door to fear. The door to wholeness or the door to fragmentation, separation. Whatever labels you want to assign to it, it's always going to be those 2 doors. This is your experience. You can either be exiting fear or you could be entering into love. When you enter into love, the other door automatically closes. You exit fear. This is how it works. And you don't even become awakened. Your avatar becomes awakened. And what I mean by that is your body mind is now in service. It's in alignment with your true core self. You're in the God mode of being. Your body mind is connected to the divine server. And now they work in unison. They're one. This is what it means by I and the Father are one. You have to make that decision of whether or not you're going to be online to the divine. Or are you going to choose to try to wing it based on less than 10% of your conscious mind potential. It all boils down to that. You could choose to see yourself as pure potential, infinite possibilities, no limits, no restrictions, no binds. You'll have a completely different experience when you see the universe as all aspects or manifestations within consciousness that are all mere reflections of you, as opposed to seeing the world as completely disconnected, segregated, and apart from you, and you're alone in this cold universe like an orphan. The choice is always yours. Your perception creates your reality, and there's no right or wrong about it. It all depends on how you choose to perceive. And how you choose to perceive is going to be based on what you believe. You give power to that, and now it envelops you and becomes your world. It becomes part of your reality. It's important to realize that when you come into that space of nobodiness, you're not defining yourself based on society's standards of what a nobody is. You're basing it on not identifying anymore as a somebody, living up to certain social expectations and ideals, a sense of approval, to deny who you really are to accept a social persona or a mask to compensate or to substitute that. So when you base yourself grounded in the space of nobodiness, you are the universe. You are all that is, because all that is not a somebody. All that is not a person. All that is beyond being an individual. All that is everything. There's no name, there's no form, there's no historical identity. There's no past, there's no future. There is only the nowness, in which everything spontaneously happens. You're no longer basing your understanding on association to the body. Being a nobody is basically relinquishing all the efforts and the work that it takes to become something that you're not. It's trying to fit a round circle into a square peg. It doesn't fit. You can never live up to other people's expectations. You can never live up to the ego. Egos are always going to find fault in you because that's how it's set up. By nature, the ego is imperfect, and it's always striving to polish its image to make it appear better. This is why they call this Maya, illusion. It's an appearance. It's phenomenal. And as long as you are trying to mistake the map for the territory, the recipe for the meal, the mirage for real water, you won't reach. And a doorway would not be available to you. It would appear as though it's not accessible, but it's always accessible to you. Right there in front of you. You just have to remove the hypnotic trance, this fog of mind. You have to get your ego out of the way. And then you see it for what it is. Not as your mind is, but as you are. As the divine. This is freedom. No one could take this from you because there's no one outside of you. It's all you. You just have to merge back with the infinity that you are. Your mind and your nervous system does a really good job of filtering out infinity. And we get caught up within these culturally determined behaviors through mimicry and conditioning. Our avatars are stuck with some hardwired circuitry. Understand you're wired to eat and breathe, have sex, go to work. There are naturally reinforcing behaviors that ensure your survival of your particular body, mind, or the species. But the reality of it is you cannot solely think that that is who you are. You are universal, you are non-local. You are everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Don't allow yourself to be shaped by a particular culture in a narrow pattern called me. Some class or race, caste, convention, propaganda. Don't get lost in your social conditioning. That's just only seeing life through the intellectual process. And when this happens, we are in our own trap. This is what mental slavery is. Most of us want to have our minds continuously preoccupied to avoid seeing ourselves for who we really are, a deeper see. Since that is not accepted in the society, we fear what others may think of us. That becomes more important than how we see ourselves. So we settle, like those around us, on a very superficial level. Most of us have accepted egoism as a normal way of life. Your experience of reality is very subjective. It's based on your perception. So be mindful, because we project what we want to see. And how you feel is affected by how you think. It makes it more real to you, the same way you believe in your dreams at night and you're having nightmares. That they're very real to you because feelings are now involved. You have to master over your perceptions, and you will never be a victim. You have to relinquish your sense of self as a separate individual. This is what it means by truly being humble. There's no desire to be famous, rich, powerful, or admired or respected by others. The only desire is to go within and be completely in the self. In that state of wholeness, pure love. The love that is all-inclusive, impersonal, and knows no division. You cannot marginalize or compartmentalize who you are. You can't put spirituality in a particular room in the house as something disconnected or unrelated from other parts of your life. Spirituality is not a hobby. It's not a leisure or part-time pursuit. It must be all-pervasive in your life. When that happens, you see within all beings the one in all. This is clear seeing. And everything that appears to be a potential challenge or problem that is looked at from a higher perspective, a bird's eye view, you can see within the context of the whole, much clearer from that altitude. Stay in the space of now.